Looks like we are live. Welcome, everyone. I hope you're having a fabulous Sunday evening. And if this is your first time joining me, my name is Tina. I'm a happiness coach. And today we're going to be talking about the biggest happiness hack. And so, what I'm going to be sharing with you is things that you can do to make yourself feel happier, regardless of your circumstances, regardless of what's going on outside of you. And so, if you've ever struggled with anxiety or depression or just feeling low negative moods, yesterday I was feeling that way, and today I'm feeling much, much better. So, that was more because of lack of sleep yesterday. So, today was much better. And the biggest hack is surprising. So while everything, thank you, while everything on in your life is telling you that you need to change this, you need to change that, you need more money, you need to be slimmer, you need to be more fit, you need to this, you need to that, your skin's not good enough, there's all these things that are constantly telling us that we are not enough. And if you also had that growing up, then you're going to have that even deeper compounding effect of that. So when we are able to look at ourselves and we're able to accept where we're at right now, today, and that be enough. Now, this doesn't mean don't ever try to change yourself, don't ever try to improve yourself. Of course, you definitely want to move forward. But at some point, even when you hit whatever goal that you're chasing after, it's never going to be enough. And it's just going to be another goal and another goal and another goal and another goal. And that's great if that's what you're looking for and you're always chasing that high. That's fine. But what I really want you guys to know is that you don't have to do anything to be worthy, to be loved, to have the right to exist and to be considered as valuable. Now, if you're actively doing things that are destructive and harmful to people, that's a whole different ball game. And those behaviors definitely need to stop if you are doing those kind of things. But for the most part, if you truly felt that peace within yourself, within your soul, that you would not have the desire to harm another. You would not have the desire to beat somebody else down so that you could win. You definitely would not do that. And it's only when people are behaving that way and they are beating somebody else down that it's because they don't have a sense of worthiness within themselves. And that could have been from quite a few different things. There could be multiple things that cause you to have a sense of unworthiness. So, for example, if you're doing things that go against your own moral code, whatever that code may be, right? If you are living out of alignment with your own true self of who you're supposed to be, you will become extremely unhappy. Even if you have all the success in the world, even if you are able to achieve great things, if in your heart you're like, this is not what I really want to be doing, but you keep acting against it and you keep doing it for whatever reason, and that can be a multitude of reasons. Maybe you feel you can't let other people down. Maybe you feel like this is your mission, your purpose, and that is great. But I can tell you from my own personal experience that when you align yourself with what actually makes you happy and what actually is important to you, then regardless of the rest of the world telling you you're wrong, you will feel happy. Even if the rest of the world says, no, you shouldn't be doing this, or it's not a good idea. Now, obviously, I'm not talking about things where you're actively harming somebody, especially violence, but when you're just trying to live your own life. And I think there's a lot of people out here that they they aren't being their best selves. They are doing what they feel that they have to do rather than what it is they truly want to do, and trying to step into being who they truly want to be. It is really scary, and it's not easy, and it requires support to be able to do that. Now, that support can come from a multitude of different areas. That could be a coach, a friend, family members. Oftentimes, they will also be the ones that'll hold you back if you start doing things that are too different or too outside of what is comfortable for them. And that doesn't mean that they're bad people. It just means that it's not within their comfort zone, and that's okay. Each of us comes here with something that we're supposed to do, and each of us is supposed to step into that, whatever that is. And when we force ourselves to do things that are out of alignment with who we really are, we will become very depressed, very unhappy. We'll feel a lot of anxiety. And it's when, and this isn't the kind of anxiety of like, oh, I don't know if I can do this, kind of like, where you're stepping outside of your comfort zone for challenge. I'm talking about where you're pushing yourself because it is expected of you to be this way. It is expected that you follow this set of criteria, that you do these things. Part of your biggest freedom is going to come from being able to change some of the things that you don't agree with. And it could be your voice that somebody is waiting to hear so desperately. And being able to be the person that has the courage to speak up and speak your truth can make all the difference, could give somebody else the permission that they are allowed to be who they are as well. And having those kind of people in your life is something that has been extremely valuable to me. So back in my early recovery stuff, I wouldn't admit to any anger. I still typically default to that strategy. But I've learned it's because I was so afraid. And I saw what angry outbursts did in the family that I grew up in. And I didn't like that. And I oftentimes, if you go through an abusive situation, you usually pick one of two sides. You either tend to side with the person that you see as the more dominant, maybe the abuser kind of person, because they didn't experience the stuff that you were going through. So if you can't beat them, join them kind of mentality ends up happening. Or you tend to go to the other extreme, and maybe you're like, if that's an example, then that's a great example of what not to be. And sometimes we also get stuck in trying to prove that we're so much not like that person that we end up invalidating ourselves by going through that process. And that can cause a great deal of unhappiness. So you definitely want to be able to know what's important to you, and being able to understand some of the emotions that you're dealing with and be able to accept those emotions as they are. Now, there's appropriate ways to express those emotions so that you're not damaging or hurting others. And I highly recommend journaling. I get a lot of insight and a lot of healing from being able to journal, because it allows me to express my anger, and I don't have to worry about hurting somebody else's feelings. And and if I'm worried that they might see it, I will destroy the document, or get rid of it, release, and it's like maybe I'll burn it or something, just to have a physical representation that I am releasing this anger. I don't want this anger living in my body. It's not good for our cells. It's not good for our well-being overall. And if you hang on to anger and resentment for too long, it will cause disease in your body. And Now, obviously, I'm not a scientist, nor do I play one on TV, but this has been my personal experience that when I see some of these things, that not being able to speak your truth, not being able to speak up about what's been going on with you, um, will diminish your happiness in a great way. So the first step is to be able to really acknowledge what it is that you truly need, because when we're in denial of our own reality, that will cause a great deal of pain. And oftentimes we're in denial because if we admit the truth to ourselves, we will be forced to change. So denial often stands for don't even know I am lying. And so when you are behaving in that way, it's a protection mechanism. It isn't because you're deliberately lying to yourself. It's because you don't know how to go forward, or there's certain challenges. Maybe it's something like, let's take a simple one. Let's not go too deep tonight, but a simple one. Say, you know what? I'm not happy in this job that I'm doing. I don't like it. It doesn't make me feel good. The people that are around me don't feel good. But maybe it's like, but I don't know what else to do, and I need the money to pay my bills, so therefore I am gonna just keep doing the same old, and you just keep going back, and you get caught in a cycle of complaining about your day, feeling exhausted, not knowing what to do, and you end up losing a lot of time being unhappy when you can stop and you can take that first step and at least address the denial within yourself. Maybe at least for the very first time, admit to yourself the things that you've been too afraid to admit. And when you actually admit those, then you can start the process of healing. But as long as you're still in denial, then it is something that you will keep pushing away. So it'll come up and it'll kind of give you like a flash to say, hey, are you ready to heal this yet? And you'll be like, no, 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 I'm too busy. I don't have time for this. I can't deal with this. This is too much. And that might show up in different coping mechanisms. Maybe it's alcohol, maybe it's drugs, maybe it's food, maybe it's gambling, maybe it's a bunch of different addictive behaviors. Heck, it can be going to the gym, right? Humans are extremely well adapted at turning anything into an addiction, right? You can turn your video games. At first, they start out with a way to de-stress after work, and you end up, spending too much time playing video games, and you're not doing things that actually fulfill you. You're not doing some of the things that you want to do, and then you find yourself saying, you know what, I'm not getting things done, and I didn't have time, and all of this kind of stuff. And a lot of times people will call those excuses, but really what I see those excuses as being is you're not ready to face the truth. So when you catch yourself making a lot of excuses, it's because you're not ready to face the truth, and it's you don't know what you need to do in order to change. So in order to change and be able to shift yourself to a happier place, the first step is acknowledging that denial and acknowledging what is that you want to change about yourself. But at the same time, you also have to be able to honor where you're at in your journey today, right? So just because, so a lot of times, okay, I'll give this example. So weighing yourself on a scale, right? Like, let's say weight loss. So at one time, I was almost 400 pounds. I'm sitting about 226, right? And it's been hovering there. It's been staying there. It's like I've been working out, trying to eat healthier and stuff like that, and I'm still at this plateau. And I could beat myself up saying that, oh, it's still not good enough and all of this stuff. Or I can kind of accept that, no, I am good enough. And even when I was 400 pounds, I was still a good person. And I was still deserving of love. And it was through experiencing somebody encouraging me that I did deserve some of the things. Something so simple as like wanting to go swimming, right? And I was too worried about being made fun of, that I was depriving myself of the joy of being able to go swimming. And I remember taking, because that was a scary step for me at one point, and I took that step forward and I went swimming, and it was at a hotel, and I was like, I was really happy with myself. And because I allowed myself that I didn't have to be a certain way in order to be able to enjoy something as simple as swimming. And so being able to acknowledge where you're at and to love yourself where you're at as you continue on your journey of growth and self-improvement. You still have to love yourself. Otherwise, even when you hit whatever goal you've set, you're still going to feel not good enough. And I want you to know right now, today, wherever you're at, whatever you've messed up in your life, you are good enough, and you are able to make the changes that you want to change so that you can be happier. Not that you can't be happy with what you have right now, and it's always good to practice, gratitude and feeling good about little things that you have in your life. Like, so today I went to the gym, I worked out, and then I stopped at the grocery store and I picked up some grapefruit, and I picked up a bag of apples, and I picked up some peppers to have with my dinner. And I just felt extremely happy because I got to do something that I really wanted, those grapefruit, I really wanted those apples, and I was like looking forward to them. I brought them home and I was all excited, and I had them with my dinner, and I'm like, this is amazing. This is awesome. So, being grateful for the things that you have, loving yourself for who you are right now today, that you actually deserve that. No matter how many mistakes that you've made, no matter, maybe you have done things that are bad or wrong, or you've hurt other people deliberately, you can choose today to stop doing that and start taking action towards being that person that doesn't have to do that. You can choose to change your identity. You can choose to move forward in a way, because as you continue to do those, you cannot feel good about yourself and do bad things. You just can't. Even if you think that you are, maybe you're like, I stuck it to that person. I really slammed them. Hey, Chris, good to see you. Welcome. You just can't do that stuff and expect yourself to feel happy. You can't operate outside of what you consider good character and morals and expect yourself to be happy. So the first thing is you have to, first of all, come out of the denial that you are, oh, it's no big deal, it's not that bad, it's okay, I was just grumpy, it wasn't a big deal. When you shift out of that and kind of go, you know what, because maybe you feel guilty about the things that you've done. And if you feel guilty about those, the first step to healing and recovery and feeling happier about yourself is not to continue to do those things. You may not know what to do instead, but at the very first, you have to at least stop those things so that you can make some changes. And so that is one of the biggest things of, the biggest hacks for happiness is accepting who you are right now today, and knowing that who you are right now today is good enough. You are good enough to be the person that you want to be, the person that you see other people being. You can start making those changes right now today. You don't have to wait. You don't have to be perfect at it. You don't have to get everything right. You can just start inching your way forward. Crawl on your belly if you have to, whatever it is. You can start moving forward so that you can feel better. And there's a lot of other things to do afterwards, but that is at least a start. Give yourself a break today to be able to say, who I am right now today is good enough, even with whatever fill in the blank is messed up in your life right now. Maybe, you're struggling financially. Maybe you're struggling with anxiety and depression. Maybe you feel like you don't have any purpose, right? And maybe you're questioning your value. What I want you to know is you do have value, and to not be comparing yourself to anybody else but yourself. Am I better than I was yesterday? Yes. And if you're not, that's okay. Because, I mean, think about it. If you had a child and they were struggling one day, and they, like, the day before they were doing good, but then today they're struggling, and would you just write them off and say that they're no good? No. I mean, you would try to comfort them. You would try to let them know it's just a bad day. It's okay. Maybe it's not even a bad day. Maybe it's just a bad hour. It's like, we'll go do something else that makes us happy, that makes us feel good, right? And making yourself make better choices, so that when you make choices that are aligned in your best interests, that are allowing you to feel good, then that will bring you a great deal of happiness. Like, somebody else might come and go along and go, oh, you decided not to have the cookie after dinner? Oh, big whoop, you need to cut a lot more. Somebody can come along and tear anybody apart. They can tear apart the best person in the world and tear them to shreds. And there's always something with us humans that's something's wrong. Even if it's right, it might be perfect in somebody else's eyes, but in another person's eyes, they may like write you off. But their opinion doesn't matter. The only opinion that matters is the one that you have about yourself. And when you have a good opinion about yourself and you feel good about yourself, then you will feel a whole lot happier. Okay? So, guys, that is the training for today. I hope there's very little support groups for men. For me, it was a wormhole. Chris, I'm going to message you afterwards. I have a great recommendation for men's support groups, but if you prefer my style as well, I do have a community that I'm starting up, and it will have a topic like this, and then we'll talk. We'll allow all of the people in the group to share their perspective on it, what they got from it, and how they're going to implement it. And if you guys have specific questions that you want to ask me, then I will definitely be able to help guide you with that. So I'll send you a direct message after the live here, and we'll talk a bit more later. All right? Take care, guys. Have a great night. Alfred, always good to see you. Take care. Bye.